The Fore people of Papua New Guinea's eastern highlands had a word for it. Kuru, to shake. It began in the fingers, a tremor subtle enough to dismiss as fatigue. Then the feet, then the torso. Within months, the body could no longer stand. Speech slurred into something unrecognizable. But here is what makes Kuru unlike almost any other disease known to medicine. The mind remained intact. Patients stayed fully conscious, fully aware, watching their own bodies collapse around them. Some developed involuntary laughter. Western physicians who encountered the condition in the 1950s called it the laughing death. There was no cure, no pathogen, no toxin, no cause anyone could identify. When Vincent Ziegas and Carlton Gajdusek arrived in Fore territory in 1957, they found an epidemic. At its peak, Kuru killed up to 200 people every year. Entire villages had lost nearly all their adult women. But the pattern made no sense. Women and children died at far higher rates than men. No inherited illness kills along those lines. No environmental poison selects by sex and age. And the disease appeared nowhere else on Earth. Something was missing from every model the physicians brought with them. The answer was not in the soil. It was not in the water. It was in the way the Fore mourned. The Fore practiced a form of endocannibalism, the consumption of the dead within one's own community. The anthropological term is transumption. When a family member died, their body was consumed by relatives as part of the funerary rite. Ethnographer Shirley Lindenbaum documented that the Fore understood this practice as an act of profound love. The body of the person you mourned became part of you, literally, cellularly. They would not decay in the earth. They would not be consumed by insects. They would continue inside the people who grieved them. The brain, the most infectious tissue, was primarily handled and eaten by women and children. That single detail explains the demographic pattern that had mystified every physician who studied the outbreak. In 1959, a veterinary scientist named William Hadlow noticed something no one else had seen. Kuru's brain lesions bore an uncanny resemblance to Scrapie, a neurodegenerative disease in sheep studied for over a century. That single observation redirected the entire investigation. Gajdusek demonstrated that Kuru could be transmitted to chimpanzees by injecting infected brain tissue. The results appeared in Nature in 1966. The disease was transmissible. But by what? Not by a bacterium, not by a virus, not by any organism biology had ever classified. In 1982, Stanley Prusiner identified the agent. He called it a prion, a misfolded protein. It carries no genetic material, no DNA, no RNA. It replicates by touching neighboring proteins and corrupting them into the same wrong shape. It triggers no immune response. It cannot be destroyed by standard sterilization. The prion is neither alive nor dead in any framework science previously used to understand infection. The Fore ended the practice of transumption in the late 1950s under Australian administrative guidance. New cases should have stopped. 50 years later, they had not. Researchers documented Kuru patients with incubation periods exceeding 5 decades. People who had participated in funerary rites as children in the 1950s were still developing the disease in the 21st century. The epidemic claimed approximately 2,700 lives before it finally ended. The gesture that created it had been gone for over half a century. Every culture on Earth confronts the same question. What do we do with the people we love after they are gone? We bury. We burn. We embalm. We preserve. Each of these choices carries a biological signature we almost never pause to examine. The Fore did not act out of savagery. They acted out of grief and arrived at an answer that was emotionally coherent and biologically catastrophic. Love and danger are not opposites. Sometimes they share the exact same gesture.